So, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you, sharing a common commitment, I would say. I've been attending yesterday, and I've been listening quite carefully all the presentations. And I have to say that listening to all of you and being with you these days, I have been realizing that there is a shared commitment and a shared passion. And that gives me hope, because sometimes when I am behind my computer, in my daily project management stuff, I feel a bit, I reflect whether whatever I'm doing would never ever be impactful. But then when I share with people like you, I feel that there is a hope that maybe we can do something collectively. I mean, we are here in Istanbul, which is a beautiful, amazing city, but we are fully aware of all the challenges that Istanbul, as much as very many cities have been facing in terms of urban greening. And here, the key story is that, yes, we talk about bringing back green into cities. We know that bringing and having nature, integrating nature into cities is essential. But here, we shouldn't necessarily look at having nature around us, but having nature being part of us. That would be, a different way to be moving forward. Now, I'm here today to be telling you about the UNECE Urban Forestry Initiatives. UNECE is the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe. It was established after the Second World War, obviously because of the economic recovery. And we have a division, which is land, forestry, and housing. And we have a joint department together with FAO, which is timber and forestry. Why urban trees matter? We know. We have been talking about it the whole day long yesterday, so I don't think I have to be posing on this very slide. We know that trees provide shade, so help mitigating and reducing temperature, provide flood protection. They help in mitigating soil erosion. We know that they also provide a habitat for a new variety of plants. So we know that trees, we do benefit from trees. Our flagship initiatives, when I joined the division of UNECE, it was May 1.5 years ago. Yeah, like 2023. And we only had the Trees in Cities Challenge. And then I have to say that all over this year and a half, we have been developing a number of other initiatives, like the Trees in Dry Cities Coalition, and the UN Petite Forest Network, and Nature E-Town, which is about food trees. And I will tell you about each of them. Trees in Cities Challenge, it's been launched in 2019 at the Secretary General Action Summit in New York. And it started as a campaign media project. So it's like supporting mayors all around the world to be pledging and planting trees. And ever since, we have been planting through the initiative 90 million trees. And we have a community of 90 cities. Lately, Istanbul has joined as well, and I'm very proud of it, I have to say. Of course, I worked it out because I love Istanbul. Montreal has also joined recently, the city of Medellin in Colombia. Athens is going through all its bureaucracy to be joining, and have been talking with my new friend over there, sitting over there. So most likely Nantes, right, will also join Trees in Cities Challenge very soon. This is the map where our cities are located around the world. And the interesting part about the Trees in Cities Challenge is that, yes, it started as a media campaign, but it has been gaining substantial motivation and substantial work into it. So we have an informal expert network on urban nature through which we have peer exchange, lessons learned, capacity building, we link local and national. For example, recently we had a peer exchange between the cities themselves and about the tree health and the maintenance, because of course it's not only important how we do, planting trees, but it's also important to be monitoring trees, maintaining trees, and that's something that our cities are asking ourselves, to be exchanging best practices. So as you can see, overall, the urban initiatives that we have been implementing always try to be providing tools, guidance, support. We provide policy development, capacity building, transfer knowledge. We very much investigate, inquire, ask what the needs are coming from the cities, and then we implement accordingly. Again, within the framework of the Trees in Cities Challenge, always responding to the needs of the cities, and but also, I was saying before that we very much work on linking the local level to the national level, and there's a request from our member states and from our local governments. We developed the 3PAL initiatives, which is aligning policy and action across levels of government, putting together the city level to the national one, and that came as a request from a city in Brazil, Barcarena. They linked us up to the national government, so to the Ministry of Environment and to the Ministry of City and Urbanism. And with them, we are just trying to be, mapping out the policy needs, how to be integrating urban forestry into the national and the local, and mobilizing additional, relevant funds. And we are doing it together as well with the Italian government. I used to work for the Italian Ministry of the Environment, so I've been, of course, I know the best persons there, and we are specifically working with the recovery plan department of the Italian Ministry of the Environment, and they have a whole program which is greening cities across Italy, and they're picking up specific cities, targeted cities together, working with us on, developing a guidance, and I will tell you about it a bit later. So this is how the 3PAL works. It's cross-cutting, like Action Lab, giving technical assistance, supporting planning, disseminating guidance, and community practice. So each of them are like getting into each other somehow. And now I would like to ask a question to you, if any of you would like to answer, which is, what are the challenges you have faced in creating or maintaining green spaces in your community? If any, you have experience of green communities. So if... Political support? Can you elaborate?
Political support on a local level is sometimes difficult to obtain, and especially when politics changes every couple of years, maintaining interest in parks and green spaces is a challenge.
Yeah, exactly. And this is something, that's the reason why an initiative like Trees in Cities Challenge somehow, we also encounter political differences when new parties come in, but we try to be providing a kind of a neutral, platform, continuing as much as we can. And that's something which can be helpful at the end of the day, like a neutral space. Anybody else would like to come in and talking about challenges in creating or maintaining green spaces? Well, later, maybe. Okay, this is the Trees in the Cities Coalition. I want to start with this picture because we were in Dubai last year at the UNFCCC, the Climate Change Conference of the Parties. When I was working at the Italian Ministry of the Environment, I very much work in the MENA region and very closely with WGO, the World Green Economic Organization, so I liaised back with them. And when talking about urban forestry demands, requests, and needs, they opened up, they brought up, of course, the topic of arid and dry cities, water-scarce regions. And that's how we came up with the Trees in Dry Cities Coalition. So we had the inaugural event in Dubai last year with national governments, Brazil, Italy, Jordan, Uzbekistan, local governments like Braga, Los Angeles, European Investment Bank, so also financial institutions and UNCCD, but also ESCVA. And what has been interesting is that we have been creating this platform. The structure of the coalition is quite loose. It's anything formal. So it's not something that you have to be complying by, or you just become a member. We have like the advisory committee, which is made up roughly of 20 members who shape strategy. We have the working group, which is like they propose, they share, and then we have task forces, ad hoc task forces. But what is interesting about this coalition is that since it was December, November last year, we have been held 4 operational meetings, like solution-based meetings, I would say, and we have been creating an action agenda. So it's not the usual blah, 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 I have to say, because I'm very much bored by that. So wherever I come in, I always try to do something which is somehow impactful. And this coalition is really drawing, I would say, it's really drawing traction, because through the action agenda, we have been identifying specific topics and categories, and through it, we have been working together with our stakeholders, with our members, and with our advisory committee. So the first category is joint outreach, communication, and messaging. We have been developing all over these months key messages that our members have been transferring and conveying during the current conference of the parties in Cali, in Baku. I mean, we haven't been there because, of course, we cannot be everywhere. We will be in Riyadh now in December, but the key messages have been conveyed by our advisory committee members. Like, for example, Jordan has been in a number of occasions in Cali, has brought up our messages at the biodiversity COP. WGO has done the same in Baku, and then we will be at COP 16, the desertification COP, with 2 major events, bringing up the coalition. Another interesting project within this category is a call to build back better, and it's been proposed by ESCVA, because of course there is a number of conflicts in the world, and how we can get in and build back. We can certainly be building back better when getting in with green infrastructures. So that's one of the other initiatives that will be coming up from this coalition. The second category of the action agenda within the coalition is enhanced knowledge, awareness, and capacity. We have been planning to have quarterly peer exchange topics, within best practices, and the first webinar will be on water accessibility and availability. It will be on the 20th of November, so it's soon coming up, together with Denver. Denver has very special case studies about water salinity. And we have invited Cape Town, Ciudad del Mexico, and Madrid. So it's going to be quite an interesting webinar, I think. And then, I think I mentioned before, we have been developing guidances on integrated urban trees into national policies, but also aligned with the 3 Rio Conventions, together with the Italian Ministry of the Environment for national and local, and the Brazilian national and local government. So this guidance will be available, I think, by the summer. The third chapter category of the action agenda is delivering trees in dry cities. And we are, of course, which is related to mobilized resources. And what we aim to be doing is developing funding concepts. So now we are taking, we are optimizing, of course, time and effort. So now in Riyadh, one of the two events that we're going to be having will be finance-based, together with the Islamic Development Bank, with the World Bank, EBRD. And we'll be focusing on integrating national and local policy and how to be channeling funds accordingly. So this is the save the date. You can scan it. The drought, the water accessibility and availability that we are going to be having on the 20th of November. It's online, so you're all welcome to take a part in. But it's one of the series of events that we're going to be having. Because as I told you, Athens was also interested to be joining this webinar, but we will have one additional one later on, an additional webinar, of course, changing the focus. Well, then there is a question for you, if any of you would like to answer. If you have any success stories of like solutions implemented in arid environment, if you have experience of it, if any of you have experience of arid environment and solutions, then we...
Hello. Thank you very much, Stefania, for a great presentation. With regard to arid environments, my name is Treve Evans. I'm from AIPH, the International Association of Horticultural Producers. And we are the global approving body for international horticultural exhibitions.
Yeah.
And as you probably know, we had our first ever international horticultural exhibition in Doha, in Qatar, in 23-24. And that was a 6-month event which attracted 70 countries to participate at it. It's a public-facing event. It attracted 4.2 million visitors. But it might be worth looking at the examples there. There was a Green City Symposium held at that event, which we hosted. And there were some good examples of horticulture and growing in arid environments. And that was, as it was the first example in the Middle East of such an exhibition, we've probably got some material there that could be of help.
That's interesting, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good exchange we might be having on that topic, absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for that.
Talk later, yeah.
Thanks. And I think Carl as well. Is there anybody else besides? Of course, Gambino. I mean.
Hello, Stefania.
You want to come?
Yeah, no. I won't go up, but I just want to say, I can say that we have experience in arid environments in Barcelona, but what is happening is that the climate is becoming increasingly arid. The extended periods of drought plus watering restrictions is creating a situation where trees in urban soils, which are not natural soils, are basically manufactured by the situation, by humans. They're finding really difficult thriving. So we can forecast that our efforts in this direction, planting more trees, creating better conditions for them, now have to be reevaluated and rethought. So we probably have a good success record planting trees, looking after trees, improving techniques. But what is happening now is everything we've done has to be rethought and redeveloped. So we're moving towards higher aridity and more complex water supply, not drinking water, with higher salinity. So we'll soon be there, maybe with cities in Northern Africa. So that's another situation we need to look at, not just what we're doing now, but what we may have to be
innovative
doing
solutions according to the extreme weather conditions which are coming up.
Yeah.
And by the way, Barcelona is part of Trees in Cities, the challenge, but also the coalition. So it would be great that you also come in, because you can speak to all of us.
No, another day. Thank you.
Thank you. Carl, I think you also wanted to say something.
Hello there, Carl McLean from the Green Flag Award Program. So earlier this year, we were on a visit to Saudi Arabia in the Middle East, to a national park called Al Ghat National Park, just outside Riyadh. And it's managed by, Saudi has a national center for combating desertification. That's the kind of government department, and what they're doing in Al Ghat is they're trialing solutions for minimal watering of indigenous trees. They're actually, there's no irrigation systems, they're hand watering newly planted trees, and the idea is to test different approaches to establishing trees in incredibly arid environments. And they also have an indigenous plant nursery on the site, and the plan is then, through the learning they get from that project in the national park, which isn't urban, they can then bring those practices into the city and into more urban environments once they've figured out the best way to minimally irrigate trees to reach establishment where they don't need any more irrigation.
It would be great to have them involved somehow, because they might be bringing in their best practices, so that the other stakeholders can be learning from. Great, thank you for that. Thanks. Thank you. Okay, and then it's the future green cities, Utrecht. We were invited by IPH, the World Urban Parks, and that meant sitting there as well. So thanks for that. It was a lot of fun. You can see that we have here Luis, my UNECE colleague, but also the city of Liverpool, the city of Utrecht, and Earthwatch colleagues, and the IPH here. So we launched the UN Petite Forest network. We started it together with Earthwatch. Earthwatch Institute, they are very much into the real planting of trees. They are very much into research, into community involvement, and we are on the other side, which is policy support and development. So I think it's been a very good combination, this partnership. And here the overall idea was to be really, focus on the underutilized vacant spots that can become pocket greenery. Somehow. So we can call them mini forest, micro forest, pocket forest, tiny forest. We called it petite because, of course, it's a new brand that we could give in. But the idea is that even small actions matter, and even small actions can impact environmentally widely. And of course, the network focus area, it's collaboration, knowledge sharing, policy recommendation, capacity building. And we are going to be having the first open online webinar on the Petite Forest on the 28th of November. So again, you can scan and be with us on the 28th of November. Earthwatch is our co-partner. But we will also have somebody from the Miyawaki Research Center, IVN, as well. And then the Aga Khan Foundation, because the Aga Khan Foundation is very much into urban greenery, and they are absolutely interested into the tiny forest. So we invited them to be sharing their experiences, and we will see how the collaboration will develop with them. So we always try to be keeping our stakeholders and our partners involved, to be giving some new ideas, sharing, and then developing accordingly. I'm just waiting for you to scan, all of you. I can still see phones up from Ireland. Done? Okay. And then another question that I have for you is if you have any experience of tiny forests. Just for you to know, we are not necessarily, we are inspired by the Miyawaki. You might have heard about this Japanese botanist. Miyawaki was this botanist who was like so much into creating small, like tennis court spots, lots of where you could, the dense clusters of trees were planted there, and that's how the Miyawaki initiative, this new inspirational trend has come up. So we are inspired by the Miyawaki example, but we don't necessarily follow that. It's enough for us that the community is interested and they plant on their own. Our first tiny forest was in San Marino. We planted, the inaugural event was last year during our intergovernmental coffee, we call it coffee, intergovernmental whatever, conference, event having all the national stakeholders together. And in San Marino, we had the first tiny forest launched last year. San Marino has always been neutral in there have been wars all over the places. It's always been a neutral ground, and that's the reason why we thought of planting the first tiny forest over there, to give a sign of hope. In a way, environment can transcend politics. So if there is any experience of tiny, small forest, happy to hear.
Thank you. Tim Geyer from Australia, and we have a network in Australia called Microforests, and the city where I work, Queanbeyan, which is next to our national capital, has only just in the last 12 months had its first micro forest put in by the community. They fundraised themselves, they designed it themselves, and we just gave them the park, which is maybe 2 tennis courts.
Oh, okay, 2 tennis courts.
And that has been very successful. They go back each maybe 4 to 6 weeks and they do the maintenance, and now they're looking at where the next one will be and the next one. So it's a small movement that started in Canberra and is growing through cities in Australia now.
Thank you. That's the beauty part of it is that it easily grows because everybody can be involved. So that's why I like it as much as well. Thank you. Any other comment or experience, Carl?
Potentially, there's a program that's run by FEE, the Foundation for Environmental Education. That's called that's called Eco Schools.
Oh yes.
And a lot of schools around the world might have available land to plant a petite forest in. Which you could maybe support them to design that and make it happen. So,
that's a very good hint.
And then you could connect in with the younger generation as well. Schools being more involved in the petite forest network. So there's just an idea.
I was working with Jonan Durand, right? Jonan, whom do you know from FEE?
FEE run the Blue Flag Award network around the world, as well as Eco Schools. So working.
My contact person is Jonan Durand. No?
Yeah, I can share some contacts for FEE.
It's a good idea. I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
Because I thought that they're very much into school, but I didn't connect the fact that, in fact, through schools, it could be a very good way in. Great.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Any other comment? Because I don't want to be here talking like I'm the professor. It's the whole session is going to be involving you. Be ready because there will be a debate very soon, like in Utrecht. So, okay. So the last initiative that I wanted to bring up to your attention is food forest. Again, when we plant trees, why don't we plan on having food trees so that we can also, feed people? That's something that can also be supported policy-wise. And we are going to be, we are in the way of elaborating, developing a guidance, which we call the Edible City, Why Food Tree Matters. And it is within this Town. The Nature in Town is a platform that tracks lost food waste, and in order to be repurposing it and not to have it waste. And again, here we are in order to be supporting the policy, the policy platform. Growing what works in feeds, which is of course climate adaptation mitigation, biodiversity conservation, and social cultural values, there where there is community engagement. The guidance that I told you about includes 12 case studies from different countries in the world. So from Florida, from Gambia, from the Philippines, from Dubai, from Italy, from Jordan, from Brazil, from Switzerland, but also from Istanbul. There is this, unfortunately, this Turkish girl I've been in touch with, she couldn't be here with us today. She will come later. I invited her because I thought that it could be good that we could hear from a real example. They are doing an amazing job in Beşiktaş. They really have a garden there. These food trees, and they have been inviting people coming and taking the lost food, and it's been very successful over there. So, and this is the urban orchard in Istanbul, in Beşiktaş. And it's up until now it's been quite positive, but unfortunately the local participation was not as high as expected, and they are trying to be getting through organizational issues. Again, at the beginning it was successful, but then they couldn't manage in the long term, so they are in the process of revising and readjusting. But I think it's a good case, and she will be with us later today, Dealer Çiftçi. And again, if you have any experience yourself of food trees, if anyone, please, Island.
Kevin Halpney from Fingal in Dublin. We have a program to provide areas for community gardens in our parks and open spaces. We fund a capital project to establish the gardens, and then we reach an agreement with the local community. They manage and maintain it and produce food. And the only requirement we have is that they maintain public access to the area. And then separate from that, we have an allotment program outside of our open spaces. So we have 800 allotments that we provide to our local community on an annual basis. But the community gardens, the program goes continually each year, and we develop new ones each year. Okay, no, that's great to know. You might be interested in this guidance as well, I think. And you might be also interested in the platform where you might be, putting in your data and then being, in a way, globalized internationally. Thanks for that. Then another question that I might ask is, how do you think that youth can be engaged in urban greening initiatives? If any of you would like to answer that question. If you have experiences of youth involvement, please. Martin?
Thanks. Maarten Loeven from the Netherlands. We had a Future Green City Student Challenge. So we encouraged universities of applied science to work on a greening subject and object, this time in Utrecht. But we are planning to do this every year because if you want to reach out to the youth, you have to include the educational centers to get them connected.
Yeah, thanks. No, great. Then we should also talk about it. And then, of course, there is also the issue of funding, which is also something that, mobilizing resources is something that we are all quite aware of, and it goes with partnership. But I can see that your partnership is quite open. We can build up new partnership and see how it will go forward. Now, I mean, we will have fun. What's the time? Yeah, we still have time. So when I was in Utrecht, and I was, you know, I mean, don't take me wrong, but sometimes listening to someone can be a little bit boring. So I found it so interesting that we were given statements, and then according to those statements, we were divided into two groups. And then the first group, I can see that there is enough people here, so you can turn, Gambino, listen to me. You have to work now. You can turn your chairs, and according to this statement, another statement that I will show later, you have to be supporting, one section supports the statement, and the other section supports the opposite. And regardless of your own opinion, you know, you have 2 minutes to be discussing, and it's interesting because through this brainstorming exchange, very interesting things come up. So the first statement is integrating urban forestry into city planning is more critical than addressing immediate social needs like housing and employment. So do you agree that you can turn your chairs and talk to each other? You have to be coming up with motivations why this very sentence is right. Whereas you also turn your chairs and talk to each other, and you should oppose it. Okay, you should oppose that integrating urban forestry in cities, so it's less critical than addressing housing. So you can discuss between yourself. You have 2 minutes. Turn your chair together. You should come up together. 1 group or 2 groups, you decide. You can come up with 2 or 3 groups, you decide. Yeah, and you discuss. You have to find the real motivation behind the sentence.
We have around 7 minutes left.
Okay, so it's only one debate. Okay. Yes, please. 2 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, but we. What?
The cities, what you're saying is Turkey cities are finished. So things and even part of the city is the same. Most of not the mind. We have to change our mind. They don't start to write urban planning. So it is not the big. So the scale 5,000, 10,000. They don't even we work in 1,000, 1,500. trees and you still have social problems. Whereas if you start with trees, at least you have something. And I believe the green infrastructure for chicken and the economic development.
Okay, then I think it's time to debate. So you can turn. There is interesting conversation going on. That's why I love these debates. I think we should start.
Cities that do well, they have lots of trees.
It's passionate. The discussion is passionate. You can see it.
So who's going to speak now?
So, okay, so now one of you speaks. Gambino, but you have to talk to the others, huh? Because you're opposing each other. So you will explain why you think that integrating urban forestry is more important than addressing social needs and housing. So you say why. You're motivated. The group, you are the spokesperson.
For this group?
For the group. And you talk to the others because they are opposing you.
Okay. We consider this to be a problem of chicken and egg. What comes first? So we know that housing and employment is really important, and most cities that are already built, they have housing and maybe they have employment. But very often, cities that do very well have lots of trees, whereas cities that don't do so well don't have trees. So we think that the trees are the chicken. If you have the chicken, you can have many eggs. So whatever you do, plant trees, and then housing and employment will follow. And that's our argument.
Thanks. So what's your argument? Bravo! Okay. What's your argument, Martin? You say no, I mean housing is more important. Why?
Yeah. It was quite difficult for us to oppose to this statement. But first of all, due to evolution, we are not able to live in trees. We must have a house. So we must, first of all, first need for people is to have a safe house, a dry house. So housing comes first, and secondly, we have to do with politicians. And you know, politicians aren't chosen by trees. They are chosen by people who want to have a safe house and a safe place to live. So despite the beauty of trees, we should first build houses.
So what do you say? Any of you want to reply, want to respond? Please, Carl. I mean, he says that no, our primordial origins is housing. What do you think about it?
I agree because the gentleman used the word safe houses. And now we do this meeting in Istanbul where we need the safe houses because it's an earthquake country and we have a lot of earthquakes that you know about it. And so it's the same. He helped us in the same meeting. Yes, we need the plant, and we need safe houses. So build outside and save the city. Safe houses, safe city, and a lot of trees, a lot of chicken.
So how do you respond to that? Anybody from your side?
Yeah. You want to build houses outside of the city.
Yes.
That's called urban sprawl.
Yes.
Yeah, and we don't want that. Especially in the Netherlands, you know, we're a very tiny country. So we have to build houses within city limits. So we have to get rid of those trees.
Any other argument?
He's rich.
Karen?
Well, Martin is obviously completely wrong, and we are 100% right. So that's the first argument. And I think the second thing is that this is also a question of quality over quantity, and I guess it depends what sort of person you are, or mayor, or politician you are, whether you want your citizens to have a good quality of life or just a bigger quality of life in terms of more and more and more housing instead of trees.
So Martin, how do you respond to that?
I guess we have to surrender. Or Tim, you have.
No, don't surrender.
No. We
Go
don't,
ahead.
We
strong.
don't surrender. We don't surrender.
Good.
I'll use an example from South Africa, from
Good. We have
Johannesburg
examples.
and from Cape Town. So everybody knows in the big cities in South Africa, the townships around them, people are coming in from the villages into the townships. And they don't have houses. They're trying to build the houses. But Johannesburg municipality is planting trees. So the people cut down the trees and use it to build their houses, use it to light their fires. So they now have housing that's being built in the townships. And the way to stop the people from cutting down the trees is they planted the fruit trees.
Okay.
So the houses came, and then the fruit trees came. And the people didn't cut down the fruit trees because they got the fruit.
Thank you. Thank you so much. A round of applause to the two groups. Martin, you want to add something? No? I think it's been amazing. That's what I thought. Please, Carl.
We have one more solution, and it is a city of tree houses. So everybody is happy.
Tree houses, everybody's happy. Thank you so much for being so much engaged into this discussion. Thank you, Martin, Carl, Gambino, all of you. I hope that it's been an interesting presentation for you. It's my contacts. If anything, then that's our website. There were two more debates, but we didn't have the time for that. But thank you so much for, being engaging, and stay tuned. Bye.